Hi, I'm Steven and I make fonts as Arrow type. Today I am working on Lang Gothic small caps. So Lang Gothic, if you're not familiar with it, is my Gothic family, basically a sans serif based on Lang, which is itself based on a specific monument in the Greenwood Cemetery, which has some really kind of quirky, beautiful lettering from the 1800s. Here I am working on small caps so that they can align with the small caps in Lang. The weight range of Lang Gothic is a little more compressed or less wide than the weight range in Lang, sort of because Lang is a bit more of a display family and this is a bit more of a do everything family. Also, to be honest, I wanted to try making a sans serif that was a little more limited in scope, just to see how that would affect how quickly I could get it done. So yeah, a lot of the things I make are experiments to just kind of like poke and prod at what I don't know, what type design is. And yeah, but I also, want to make a really useful family. And part of something that I'm testing here is, do those extreme weights really move the needle that much on the demand for a family? Obviously, that's pretty hard to tell. With Name Sans, my kind of do everything geo grotesque font, I made the weight range as wide as I basically possibly could. And here I'm making it less wide. So light to extra bold. And yeah, the things in between. So that is kind of a long rant to say, yeah, let's get into refining the shaping and spacing of these small caps. And a couple of other points of context here that are worth calling out. I had already made small caps in Lang, and I wanted them to be pretty similar in like small cap height in Lang Gothic. So I opened up the light and extra bold weights in Lang and looked at those small caps. And then I kind of copied those settings. I actually scaled these in RoboFont ScaleFast. So I like exported UFOs from GlyphsApp, then took them into ScaleFast, scaled the things, and then copied them back into Glyphs. I've got a previous video showing this process in the past, so I wasn't gonna just repeat that for this video. But yeah, something pretty critical in this kind of a process is saving screenshots of like all of the settings that are used to generate the basis for small caps, because chances are I might do this again. If I add more characters to the typeface, for instance, and then I want to scale them down to the small cap size. We'll see. But yeah, today I will pretty much be grabbing all of these and then making a basic spacing script. I think that's it. Yeah, so this is a simple script. It's on my GitHub if you want it, to lay out a bunch of spacing strings for selected glyphs. And yeah, so basically, in fact, I should probably, the first time you're spacing something, it's pretty helpful to start out with the control characters. So when they're capitals or small capitals, that's H and O. And I should just try to see if I can get these feeling balanced. So basically, you want HH. Oops. I'll just copy this so it's easier. And let me bring up Keycaster so you can see when I'm using shortcuts. So let's look at, I did base these on what was already drawn in the font, and I've obviously thought about this a fair amount. So these aren't looking too bad to me. I might have more of an opinion once I go through it a little more. One thing I do notice is that the counter of the small cap O does feel a little squished. That is to say, I think these need to be rounded, just like that or something. Yeah, it looks a lot better already. So just with that small change. Let's try to see if these are the same height. So 84, 85. Okay. And then finally, one thing that's kind of cool. Wait, what? Does this... I keep on experimenting with this. Okay. Yeah, basically this fit curve thing allows you to adjust the curve of multiple segments. And so as long as you get the range to where you want it to be, it can be kind of handy. Okay, well, we may come back to that, but it's not looking too shabby. Some of these, because I added tracking, I'm just going to take that away again. Because, like, obviously I don't think the small cap A should have more space than the capital A. Everything should have maybe just a little less. Sort of like the N has a little less spacing than the H. So too, the small cap H should probably have a little less spacing than the normal H, and the small A should not have more spacing, certainly, than the main A. So that's an easy thing to fix. Here is another thing where we have, we should copy these better curves, kind of. Oops. And let's, oh, no, stop it. Okay, there we go. This is kind of helpful to have this small version here. I think I'm going to give this a little bit wider of a flare. And balance the curve a little bit. I also kind of think I need to open it up slightly, maybe. It's like very closed at the moment. So let's just see what happens if we kind of, yeah. That feels like a more related shape to me than something that has too much of a closed aperture. Some of this process is making me look at these again and think about ways that they could be better. That, by these I mean the normal capitals may have some opportunities for improvement. I do wonder if this small cap O is a little on the wide side. Like here, this feels kind of optically balanced. Here, I'm not so sure. Yeah, this kind of, these feel just slightly taller than they are wide. This feels slightly wider than it is tall. So I think what I'm going to do, I'll make a layer so I can go back if I want to, but yeah. See, that feels better, I think. Maybe I'm going to boost these up slightly. And maybe it's a little bit thick on the top and bottom. This side bearing reference equals bar means it just matches the opposite side. That was kind of a balance for me, how much to be logical versus how much to be intuitive or visual about the side bearings of things. Once you've already thought hard about the side bearings of the like capitals and the lowercase control characters, to an extent, I feel like you should maybe be somewhat logical about how those go towards the small caps. Yeah, I don't know. Usually math doesn't work out very well in fonts, but sometimes I feel like logic can help a little here and there just to make sure you're being logical, I guess. That is to say, and I'm kind of getting this sentiment from something I heard from Peter van Blokland, a really phenomenal type designer in the Netherlands. And he said, like, he was talking about scripting things, and I think in particular maybe scripting kerning or something, where the main attraction for him of scripting some aspects of spacing or kerning was that, as he said, the robot doesn't do things differently based on whether it's just had lunch or not, which I thought was a pretty memorable and wonderful description of the problem of things like kerning for a typeface. And he was kind of quoting a very famous study, I think, pointed out in like Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, if I'm remembering that correctly. I may or may not be. But basically, if I'm remembering it correctly, there was a study showing that judges of parole cases, basically saying whether people with a criminal record who were in jail could be released on parole or not, were more likely to be a little more lenient just after they'd had lunch than just before they'd had lunch. So essentially, if the judge was a little bit hangry, they might be a little less like fair, essentially, or lenient, or like basically believing in the goodness of other humans, than they were, after lunch. It's hard to both do type design and remember how to tell a story, or try to recount a fact like that. But the point is, it's likely that when we're judging things like kerning, it's highly sensitive to how well we remember the kerning that is applied elsewhere in the family, and maybe just on our mood that day. And this kind of goes for spacing, I would say, as well. So a benefit to sort of striking a balance between being logical but also looking is that if you try to involve at least a little bit of logic, maybe you'll be a little less likely to just make stuff up, or not make stuff up. We're all making stuff up all the time, but make mistakes, I guess, for lack of a better word. Or make a typeface that's really lacking in consistency. And it's always this dance between trying to achieve consistency, but also trying to achieve like something that's lively and thoughtful and well considered and optically balanced and all the rest of it. There's kind of a tension almost between logic and optical balance. And Yeah, I'm kind of trying to be slightly quick as I go through this. Just kind of seeing things as something of a first pass. Of course, I want to do a good job as well, so I'm not, at risk of just having crud in my typeface. Um, I love when I can like use a scaling tool like that to like fix the contrast sort of in something like the M. It's sort of a challenge to me to see how often almost and how well I can use the scaling tools to draw letters or to adjust the drawing of letters. Is this too wide? It feels really wide. Yeah, I mean, if it feels wide, it is wide. But let's go to the ESC and just get a basis from there. Okay. And actually, I should use this as an opportunity to check how the actual uppercase OE is doing. Because if this is too wide, it's coming from that. And that might be a little too wide. Sure enough, it definitely is. Let's just check the, okay, here it is as well. And maybe while I'm at it, I might as well do that same thing over here, because if it was kind of far off in the Roman, it's possible it was that also kind of brought over to the italic. And yes, indeed it was. Okay, so let's adjust that. Okay. Kind of feels like this doesn't have to be quite as much overshoot as it has. Okay. Nope, that was not what I wanted. That was what I wanted. All right, and then let's go back here. I guess I still have to sort this. Okay. Let's do that here just while we're at it. Okay, we're getting there for this fix. Okay. Nice. All right. We made it. Okay. This leg feels maybe just very slightly short, or like, it's one of those things where small, it almost reverses what feels heavier. Somehow this just feels thin. You know, I think I was on, that's funny. I was cruising down on maybe the thicker of the two sources, and I swapped to the thinner one, but we should finish this first. I mean, so long as we get it all done, we get it all done, but this, I think, should be smaller, basically. Why? Sometimes glyphs will like be weird like that. I should make this a little taller to keep some height. The Q is always a bit of an oddball character. I never want it to be too tall, but I also don't want it to not look immediately like a Q. Bit of a quandary. All right. Felt like that needed to be a little bit. Thicker. Same here, perhaps. Oops. I just copied that one, and I don't want don't want that duplicate. Okay. And I had done something to set kind of maybe a lot of these numerals to the same width as the 0.smallcap, so that they're kind of tabular unless they need to not be tabular, like the 1. And then we'll add in a tabular small cap 1 as well. 1.tnum. Is there not a 1. There needs to be a 1.tnum.sc. Sort of thought there was, but maybe not yet. Okay, well, that's fine. We can open up our scaled things here, and let's add 1.tnum.sc. Let's open with glyphs. So here's the thing I got in scaled. It looks ridiculous, but it's pretty good actually. You have to do special, paste special. Let's see. It's often hard to remember. Okay. The specific UI of it is a little bit strange to me, but that's okay. So that's not good. No components. That's the one I want. Okay, cool. And let's do this for 0.sc. There. Okay. And I'll probably adjust that a little bit once I'm writing the feature for this. In fact, I'll probably duplicate all of these except for the one as .tnum.sc to make it really obvious that there's a set of tabular numerals, and then I can go back and change anything if it needs to be changed. And some of these probably need a bit of drawing adjustment. The 5 is the one that stands out the most. It's just having a super dense area there that probably won't read very well. Like would be really at risk of closing up too much. Probably somewhat true here as well. Let's make sure this 9.sc is kind of related. You don't always need a ink trap, and I don't think I'm going to put one there because it's just such a slight angle. I mean, as well, it's more there than it was here. So let's go back. What happens if we just do that? Okay. Welcome to my radiator. If you happen to hear that in the background, it's making some good radiator noise. Yeah, this looks a little wrong. Just too squared. Okay. Yeah, then let's go back through and see how these are all doing. Just kind of a quick spot check. Feels too thin. Again, just kind of making sure these don't have more space than their fully capital counterparts. Maybe a little less. Okay. And I want these to have the same amount of space between thin and extra bold, so that they can be tabular, except for the one. And I'm just going to select everything and then do the update metrics shortcut. So these all kind of update properly to 0. Yeah, okay. Well, that's getting somewhere. All right. I also want to do this to the italics, and then I'll probably build the font and take another look at things there rather than trying to do just like everything here. That is, I'll like take it for a spin in InDesign, etc., to proof it and to use it and see how we're going on it. But in my immediate future, I am feeling pretty lethargic, so I think I'm going to get outside. It is a Sunday, and it is a sunny day. So, you know what? I think that actually I've probably shown plenty here to give you a sense of the process of this. And there's a lot of other great content on YouTube that you probably want to watch. So I'm going to leave it at this for now and probably just do the italic on my own, jam into some good music after I get outside for a bit so that I have more energy. But thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of it. Leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you'd like me to focus on something specific in a future video. I'm about to get a lot busier this year. I just got a 4-day-a-week job, and that's exciting, but means that I will have less free time. So that in turn will mean that I will probably have less time for making YouTube videos. We'll see. Not yet, honestly, too sure how the whole thing will shake out for my schedule, but I'm going to keep making Arrow type fonts, and that probably means I'll keep making videos. But yeah, I just literally don't know yet. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one when the next one happens. Take care.